All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the game. I want to talk about a few questions I've been asked, and it's all going to lump into the same theme. I also have a really fun clip for you guys. I thought this fight was hilarious, and you're going to see why. It was a good fight overall, but yeah, the way it ended just kind of made me laugh. But yeah, first of all, we're going to talk about this patch, and we're going to talk about this year. And we're going to talk about the year of performance, because today is December 20th. We only have 10 more days left of this year, but a year and a half ago they came out and ESO said next year 2020 is going to be the performance year. This is going to be performance patches. We're going to do all these things. Everybody's seen the timeline, where they're going to literally improve threading on their servers. They're going to archive a bunch of just needless content, which should increase FPS. They're going to do all these other sorts of things, right? And so now we're done with all of those performance patches. What are the results? In my opinion, up until this last patch, their performance updates made the game worse. Like I came out with a video in February. I showed like skill delay was just awful, like really bad, and you couldn't fire skills and abilities. Sometimes it would show your class activating a skill and then it wouldn't go off. Now we have like random like server stutters where the entire community will freeze for 20 seconds. We have different desyncs from snipe have been happening this entire year. Overload desyncs a lot as well. Like there's a lot of different desyncs. Sometimes your character just gets stuck in place for no reason. Sometimes you can't CC break. Like I was dueling a guy yesterday, and I've talked about this a little bit too, but sometimes I don't know if I kill somebody and it's because I played better and I was able to burst them down and drain the resources, and I was able to kill them through a combination, or if the game just wasn't working for them and they couldn't respond, because that happens to me all the time. And so you're sitting there and I just don't know. I just literally don't know if that's the case. And so that's the frustrating part about this game, is it's like, okay, well, did I kill him because of this, or did I kill him because the game sucks? And yeah, up until this last patch, the game was worse. Like it was way worse. I stopped, I talked about this before in a previous video, but I had a death in the family in August, and I kind of stopped playing the game for a little bit, and I stopped playing even more because when I came back, when I finally wanted to play again in August, it was the worst this patch has ever seen. Like the performance was worse than it's literally ever been. And so I just took a huge break from the game, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna play a game that doesn't freaking work. But yeah, this patch they lowered the group size to 12 people, and it's brought it back to performance where it was in January. So it was basically like a reset. Now, I was gonna do a video on this before, and until these slight performance improvements where it's slightly better than what it used to be, I was going to give it an F. But I mean, it's definitely not an A, B, or C, so you can say that, this year's results, they stayed the same, so it's like, if you went to, your boss and you said, hey, it was my job to, do these TPS reports, and literally they had no impact on the job or performance or anything at all, like they just did nothing. What was the point? What was the point of the entire year? And I know they're working hard on it, and I'm not trying to rag on, the developers, because let's be honest, guys, like the developers aren't the guys pulling the strings for the money. Okay. They're the ones trying to use what they can within their budget. So I'm not trying to rag on, specific people or anything like that. But the clear and apparent thing is this game needs an injection of money into the technology. Like that's what needs to happen. What they do for the double AP event, where they reallocate servers for that time of year, has a better impact on performance than anything they've done this year. Anything. And so when you look at those sorts of things, it's like, okay, well, I mean, we've tried everything else. We've tried to change how block functions. We've tried to change how skills fire. So now everything looks clunkier and the game just functions worse, and you can't cancel as well. And your blocks don't work because, your blocks don't work because even though you're holding it, you know, it takes like a second for it to fire, or it doesn't fire at all, and you know, the game just doesn't work properly. And so you have all these sorts of things, and it's steadily made the game worse. You know, it's not as fluid as it used to be. It's not as fast paced as it used to be. It's not as fun as it used to be because of all these things. And then you stack a shitty meta on top of it, and you have even more problems, you know? Like people, metas come and go. Like, I don't really care whether or not the meta is good or bad, typically, if performance is okay. Like, if performance is okay, it doesn't bother me. And, you know, in this fight, a lot of the time my skills weren't firing, you know, or they would fire a second too late. And it's frustrating, you know, and I've been thinking about this this last couple of weeks, but every time around this time of year, ESO loses some players because around this time of year, new games come out. You know, you got the holiday games and people want to play new stuff. And players always come back. You know, they come back to ESO, but they want to go play the new games. And so now it's like Cyberpunk and a few other games that's pulling people away. And it makes sense. But the population right now is less this year than it has been basically since I've been playing, and I've been playing for almost 6 years. Like, every time this time of year, our population goes down, but it's never been this low. We normally used to have full pop locked at least 2 campaigns, at least 2, and this is Friday night PvP. We got 1 bar of each faction in here in the off campaign right now, and I am lagging my ass off. Like, I am lagging so freaking hard. And the day before, we had hop locked campaign, and I wasn't lagging at all. And I don't understand where this difference in performance comes from. Like, I really don't. I don't know why it functions this way, but it does. And it's really frustrating. You know, it's really frustrating to deal with. Obviously, you know, it's at least manageable enough to where I can, you know, have some decent PvP, but, you know, too often I'm just dying to stuff I can't really do anything about, you know what I mean? So, and we all feel it. We all feel it, and, you know, a lot more people, you know, are playing. You know, it's not just playing new games, it's also, that was a really nice burst. It's not just playing new games, it's also, you know, this game people just don't want to play right now because it doesn't function. And I can't tell you how many times, like, people will message me on my Discord and they're like, hey, is it worth coming back right now? Is performance worth coming back? And I wish I could tell them yes. You know, I wish I could. I'd be like, I mean, it's doable, you know, like, it's doable most of the time now, but you still sometimes just have nasty lag and you're going to get frustrated because the game doesn't fire. You know, I don't care if I get zerged down by 20 people and all of them are werewolves all day and they're hitting me with proc freaking whatever. It's when I can't activate skills or abilities and I just kind of drop over due to desync, that's when it gets frustrating. That's when this game is really annoying. So ideally next year, I would like to see, you know, some notable improvements. So this guy bags me and he's not healing. And so I tell Snuff at this point, I'm like, dude, there is a low CP guy at half health on my body. When you get a Dawnbreaker, you should come up and get him. And so Snuff's kiting these guys, and yeah, so that's what's going to happen here really soon, and it's hilarious. But yeah. The reason I'm bringing up the performance stuff is because I've been asked quite a bit, you know, why don't you stream anymore? Your streams used to be a lot of fun, and performance is the big issue. The reason I'm not streaming right now is because of performance. Every time I hop on, you know, it's not steadily, like, if performance was just a little bit better, I'd be able to stream and be like, oh yeah, you know, it's just a little laggy right now, who cares? But it goes back and forth. Like, some days it's awful and I can't fire skills, and other days it's great. And it's tough to, you know, try and make a Twitch streaming schedule around the fact that, you know, the game sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't, and I just have no idea when that's going to happen, you know? And so that's why I'm not Twitch streaming right now. You know, if they do come out with some performance improvements, if they do these sorts of things, then yeah, I will go back to streaming on Twitch. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun chatting with you guys, talking about different builds and stuff, because, you know, I don't know everything, obviously. And so people would point out like different sets. They'd say like, hey, what about this, this, or this? And then I'd look at it and I was like, you're right, I missed that. You know, it's fun doing the gear set reviews on Twitch. It's fun having those conversations. It's fun watching Snuff just destroy everybody right now. I mean, huge shout out to Snuffed for just clutching all this while I was lagging my ass off. Yeah, what a beast. Anyways, I don't always clip fights where my friends die, all right? Sometimes I clip fights where I get bopped too. So, yeah, we're just trying to figure out a Stamcrow build and, you know, going through the struggles with lag and, you know, whatnot and trying to get good. But yeah, like that's why I'm not Twitch streaming right now. And, you know, hopefully in the future, you know, if performance improves a little bit and, you know, when I'm on, I'm not lagging more than I'm lagging, then yeah, I'll go back to streaming on Twitch. But that's not the case right now, and, you know, hopefully for everybody's sake, people that enjoy playing this game, for the developers, so they don't have to get the constant negative feedback, hopefully the people that, you know, control the money will do some investments into what needs to be done and, you know, quit trying to cut corners, because it's ridiculous right now. Like, it's ridiculous because it's not making things better. What else was I going to say? Oh, the other thing I've been asked, and we'll talk about this and then we'll talk about the fight, but I've been asked quite a bit to do a class ranking system for PvP. I did one, for those of you guys that don't know, I did one last year, and it was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun going through the different rankings. People liked it, you know, and I highlighted the strengths and weaknesses of classes and kind of talked about, you know, where I'd like to see them get buffs and improvements, and it definitely generated a lot of fun conversation, and I would really like to do it again. But like I said, the reason I haven't done one, and I probably won't do one for a while, is because of performance. You know, I took a long break from the game, and as you guys know, every patch balance changes are pretty dramatic, and so it's tough to talk about balance in a game I was, you know, for 2 or 3 months I was playing once a week on, and I wasn't playing all the classes. Like, it's tough. I don't have that knowledge of the strengths and weaknesses of all the classes like I did last year. You know, like when I was playing last year, I was playing all the classes and I kind of had a better knowledge of, you know, my personal opinion on things. And right now, like, I'm just getting back into mag. You know, I haven't played Magblade in 5 or 6 months. I haven't played Magsork basically in the same amount of time. Magplar I haven't played in like 3 or 4 months because, you know, like I said, you know, I really wasn't playing much at all. I haven't played Stamsork in 6 months. And so those sorts of things add up. And, you know, it's tough for me to do a class rated review and, you know, show stuff to you guys when I honestly don't know. And so I have to get good, and I have to, you know, not whiff the worst Dawnbreaker in history. I saw him at half health. I thought that DB was going to go to the second floor, and it didn't. But yeah, like, so that's why I haven't done it. But what I do want to do, and, you know, I figured this would be a good segue, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. But every time I come out with a build video, I figure I could do a video also talking about classes' strengths and weaknesses, and how to round out classes around the edges to make them a little bit better in PvP, and, you know, balance them out and make things more competitive. Because I talked about it last week on a video, but, you know, whether or not you like this proc meta, there are a lot of the procs are actually very well balanced, and the build diversity is actually quite nice. And so as much as I don't like that procs are as strong as they are, as much as I'm not a huge fan of running procs, you have to acknowledge the fact that one of the best parts about this game, when you have balance, is the build diversity. And so, yeah, you know, I don't like the meta, but I like the build diversity. And I would like to see things brought in line. And it's the same thing with classes. You know, the more balanced classes are, the more you're going to see every class, because people will play the classes that they want to play with the builds that they want to build, and it just makes it better. You know, like, you get to play your class how you want to do it, and, you know, if things are more or less balanced, then you get to succeed. And it's not just everybody running Fury and New Moon, and it's not just always these sorts of things, and I think those things are great. And so I like talking about class balance because, from my point of view, I prefer playing the weaker classes. You know, typically I like playing the weaker classes at that point in time because I like to help out the community. Like, people ask me, like, you know, for those of you guys that don't know, but the last 2 videos I've done, build videos, Mag DK and Magic and Necromancer, has come at the request of people in my chats, either on my Discord or on my YouTube channel, saying like, hey, I'm really struggling with Mag DK right now. Do you think you could try and post a build to help me out. Hey, Magic Necromancer is like my favorite class, but I can't find a good PvP build for it. Can you help me out? That's where these builds have come from, is you guys asking, you know, like, hey, you know, can you try and come up with something to allow me to be competitive on the class that I love? And I've gotten a few messages the last couple of days where people are like, thank you so much. Like, this has helped me a lot, and now I get to play my class, and that's what I enjoy. That's why I made this channel, guys. Like, I made this channel because I like helping you guys out. You know, I get more enjoyment out of helping somebody with a build or a build idea, and like people have that kind of fun, than I do playing and getting 1vx's. Don't get me wrong, I love getting 1vx's. I love watching Snuff shit on people while I'm dead on the ground, but the most fun I get is when somebody says like, hey, you know, I ran your build and it's made me fall in love with my favorite class again. Thank you. And so those are the things that I like to do. And so I personally like playing the weaker classes because that's the stuff that people are asking about. You know, you don't get too many people saying like, hey, can you help me with a stamina warden build? Can you help me with a stamina necromancer build? Those classes are good. You know, you can literally throw on anything on those classes and you're going to be fine. You know, as you guys are seeing here, like, I'm doing okay, and I just threw this build together and, you know, trying to figure out skills after playing Mag DK for 2 weeks. But Magic, like, the weaker classes are a little bit more challenging, a little bit more, you know, difficult to figure out. And I'd like to do, you know, I like to do videos where I talk about them and what I would do to bring them in line. And so as an example, a while back, and I could post a link in the video if you guys want to check it out, but I did a video doing like an apples to apples comparison of the burst heals for Magicka classes in PvP. And essentially what I showed was, with the same build, same recovery, same sorts of things across the board, Magicka Necromancer, Magicka Sorcerer, Magicka Templar, all of their burst heals were way better than Coagulating Blood for DK. Like, way better, 20 to 30% better. And when you take into account the cost, you know, Honor the Dead, you get that reduced amount based off of, you know, your missing health when you cast it. Twilight healing up to 2 people. Like, it was just a way inferior thing. And so when you look at stuff like this, like the Mag DK's Coag, and when you know that the heal isn't nearly as good as those other classes, it means when you're in the same type of fight as those other classes, you have to heal more. You know, you have to hit your heal more often because your heal isn't as good as another class. If you have to hit your heal more often, that means you have to build in more sustain, or you have to build in a certain way that those other classes don't have to, and so you're not going to hit as hard. And if you're not going to hit as hard, you're not going to have as much killing power, and a lot of people are going to be out of your, you know, realm of being able to 1vx them or fight them or kill them or whatever, because you just don't have the killing power for your specific build. And so what I proposed in that video was that they buff Coag. You know, they bring Coag in line with the other class heals, and they did. And now, in my opinion, Magicka Dragonknight is probably in the best spot it's been in a year. You know, in open world PvP, Magicka Dragonknight has been in the best spot it's been essentially since Elsewhere. And it's fantastic. You know, I still think there needs to be some adjustments, and I'll do a video talking about it, of the adjustments that I would like to see. But it's in a much better spot for that little adjustment. And I think a lot of the Magicka classes struggle in this regard because most Magicka classes, from my experience, struggle with bar space. Like, you really, really struggle with bar space on a Magicka-based spec compared to a stamina. And I'll provide my reasoning for that here. When you look at stamina and you look at rally, rally is a really nice burst heal. It's major brutality, and it's minor endurance. It's 3 things. It is a great utility skill. All stacked, it gives you sustain, it gives you a major buff, which gives you more damage, and it also gives you a heal. It is a fantastic skill. I'm not saying nerf rally. Please do not nerf rally. Please, please, please do not nerf rally. What I'm trying to say is Magicka-based specs need skills, utility skills like rally, so that they can fit more killing power on their builds. And so when you look at a class like Magicka Nightblade, you struggle with bar space. You don't have a burst heal, so typically, you know, on my builds, I'm running 3 different heal over times, and I'm running a shield. I need 4 defensive skills to stay alive on a Magicka Nightblade for how I like to play it. And because I'm running 4, I really struggle because you only have 10 bar slots. You have 5 on the front, you have 5 on the back, you have 2 ultimates. You only have so many spots for offensive killing power. And if I have to, if stamina-based classes can get by with Rally and Vigor, and they're running 2, that means they get to run 2 other skills that can amplify their damage or their healing or their sustain or whatever that can make their spec stronger than a Magicka-based spec. And so when you're looking at these things, I would like to see this sort of stuff get adjusted. So for a Magicka Nightblade as an example, if they gave Magicka Nightblade a burst heal to where they didn't have to run 3 hots and a shield that's not very good, and they could just run 1 hot and a burst heal, like that would open up so much killing power for that class. Like you could easily slot Mage Light, you could easily slot an Execute if you so choose, you could slot a Dot if you wanted to. You just have more killing power because you'd have another ability on your bar that's doing damage or amplifying damage, and that would round out the edges for classes in PvP without changing how they function in PvE. Like I think that's how you look at classes and buff them in PvP without PvE, is you look at these utility skills and how you can buff them and bring them up to where the classes can be naturally stronger because they have bar space to fit other skills and abilities. The big give and take in PvE versus PvP is, it's easy to say like Magicka GK lacks in damage, in PvP. Stat-based Magicka Dragonknight isn't nearly as bursty as stat-based Stamina Warden, Stamina Necromancer, Stamina Nightblade, even with the same investment. Like if you were wearing Bone Pirate and Spriggans on a Stamina class and you put on Bright Throat's Boast and Spinners, that Mag DK wearing the exact same Magicka spec gear as a Stamina spec class isn't going to do nearly as much damage. Like that's just not the case. But the problem is you throw PvE DPS balance all really wacky if all of a sudden you start just buffing certain DPS things across the board. And so I think the give and take that you do is you provide more utility. I think you provide more skills like Race Against Time and Rally, like more skills like that where they have a bunch of things and they give you a bunch of like major and minor buffs that allow you to buff the class and make it easier. And so for, like I said, for Magicka Nightblade, I give them burst heal, and I'd put major sorcery on like Swallow Soul or something. I'd put major sorcery on something that they're probably going to use quite often, and I think that would help quite a bit. I think all of a sudden that opens up some skills and abilities, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier for the class to be a lot more functional and more fun, just as an example for Magicka Nightblade. And I'm going to do that for all of the classes. Like as I do build videos, I'll talk about strengths and weaknesses. If a class is really strong, talk about what needs to be nerfed. Like I did a video on Stamina Necromancer 2 patches ago, and I talked about how the 2 things that make Stamina Necromancer really strong is Blast Bones. Blast Bones, Major Defile, and the damage that it does are insane. And you need to nerf the Major Defile on Stamina Necromancer. And they did. Major Defile is now 10%, which, helps players a lot. Like Stamina Necromancer is still really powerful, but that one adjustment, like it made it a lot easier to deal with. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say, and I thought it was a very good change. You look at Stamina Warden, they took Major Breach off of their Sub-Assault, and they allowed it to cast twice, so it's got more pressure, it's got a little bit less burst. People complained about the Stamina Warden burst. It's still one of the burstiest, if not the burstiest spec in the game. I mean, if you guys are watching this clip, like, we're nuking people. But yeah, like that, those little changes, those little rounding outs around the edges for strong classes to make them just a little bit more in line with other classes, while also bringing up, weaker classes like Magicka Dragonknight or Magicka Nightblade, helps for balance. And like I said, the more balanced the patch is, the more builds you're going to see, the more build variety, and that's the goal. It's not taking away procs from people that like procs. It's not taking away classes and nerfing them into the ground. That's not the goal. The goal is to have everything be viable and competitive, because the more viable and competitive everything is, the more fun it is. So those are my thoughts, and those are my opinions, and that's what I'm going to do for you guys. And maybe 2 to 3 months down the road, if I played all the classes, maybe at that point I'll do a class ranking system. But yeah, I'm still just learning right now, and we'll talk about each individual one, and get a discussion going. And I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I'm right in these situations. I'm just providing my opinion, and I'm entitled to change my mind if you guys give me some good counter arguments. So yeah, that's what that's what's going to be coming down the pipeline for my channel. Now, this is where it gets funny. Like I said, we've been PvPing for a bit. I go inside. Look how many people are crouched inside. Like, look how many people are here. Like, we had 4 or 5 people waiting outside. We got people, there's a guy hitting with a lightning heavy up top. I'm getting run down. I've never seen this before, guys. Like, we went up to King's Crest to siege it with the 2 of us. This fight's been going on for 25 minutes. We had 4 or 5 people watching us, and then we go inside and there's just 5 people crouched in the door. I've never seen this. Like, it cracks me up. It makes me laugh because, yeah, I've never seen a group like wait for 2 people inside a keep so that they could fight them with their ads. I mean, I'll take the compliment, but yeah, yeah, like I said, it made me laugh. So at this point, you know, you see the people coming through the door, you see the wall of elements, you see the lightning heavy and the scoria, and you know, my abilities just aren't firing. I'm not able to weapon swap. I'm struggling a little bit right now with sustain. My buddy's getting jumped on. I went to hit a DB here just to give him the reprieve, and yeah, that's basically what I tried to do there. I just wanted to allow him to kind of alleviate himself, like the pressure, and you know, we just way too much AoE. I'm getting locked down with talons right now, and so now I'm gonna try and line a sight, and I got the dots going on me, and now people are gonna meet me around the corner, get locked in talons once again, getting CC'd, and yeah. What was it? 4 people on me right now. So yeah, so we're just gonna try and line of sight once again, and this entire time of trying to take King's Crest just did not work. We got of course we got a few people, you know, waiting on his body too, because yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of the fight. That's gonna be the end of the clip. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, I enjoyed that fight. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.